I didn't even flinch when the cameras started rolling. I'd been in enough studios over the years to know how the rhythm worked: countdown, light, motion, fake smiles. But this time wasn't about me. This time, I was standing just off stage, watching the woman I had once promised everything to, Lisa, sitting under the spotlight, glowing like a goddamn celebrity. Perfect lighting, tailored dress, hair done by a professional I paid for. That confident, rehearsed voice? Also me. I spent 2 months helping her prep for this. Every line she was about to say, every transition, every fake laugh, I was the silent architect behind it all. What no one knew, not the viewers, not the crew, not even Lisa herself, was that this wasn't just another segment. This was the launch of her national career. This was the biggest break of her life, on a show I had pitched her for, pulled strings for, sold my reputation for. And she knew it. She damn well knew it. So why, out of all people, was he sitting next to her on the co-anchor chair? Jason, her boss, executive producer, divorced, smug, sleazy. I'd seen the way he looked at her months ago. At the company Christmas party, he stared too long at her backless dress. On calls, his voice dropped when he said her name. I noticed. I'm not a moron. But Lisa always laughed it off, called me paranoid, jealous, insecure. It's just work, she said. He's married to his job. Turns out she wasn't lying about that. He was married to his job. And now, apparently, to my wife's damn lips. I stood there like a statue, headset buzzing in my ear, while the control room shouted cues. And then I saw it, that asterisk moment. The camera was still live. Lisa had just rapped a flirty little off-the-cuff line, and Jason leaned in. Not close like a co-host. Close like a man who knew he had a right. One hand on her lower back, his mouth brushing hers. Her eyes flicked to the monitor and froze. Too late. Way too late. The kiss landed. On live TV. I don't know how long I stood there. I think part of me died on the spot. The production assistant to my left whispered, "Did they just," but stopped herself mid-sentence. The silence in the room wasn't professional. It was stunned. No one moved. No one could. I looked down at the folder I was holding. Smooth, crisp, fresh from my lawyer's office that morning. Divorce papers. Signed. Stamped. Witnessed. I'd suspected for weeks. It was little things. She stopped calling me during lunch. She started wearing perfume to meetings. She forgot her phone around me. But what really set me off, what really ripped the veil off, was the bonus. She received a 5-figure bonus 2 weeks ago and never told me. I only found out because our accountant emailed me asking where to categorize the deposit. Lisa lied when I confronted her. Said it was from a side project. That she meant to tell me. Her eyes didn't match her mouth. Her fingers fidgeted with the edge of her wine glass. So I started digging. Quietly. Emails. Deleted messages. Calendar invites she thought I wouldn't see. Every breadcrumb pointed to Jason. Weekend strategy meetings. Spa days that aligned with his out-of-office status. Even a hotel receipt from a place we'd never been together. But she had. So I went to my lawyer. And I printed the damn papers. I'd planned to give them to her after the segment. Calmly. Privately. But when I saw that kiss happen in real time, something in me snapped. During the commercial break, the stage manager called 5 minutes. The lights dimmed, the crew scattered, and Lisa stood, smoothing her dress, adjusting her mic. She turned toward the wings and saw me. Her smile faltered. That was the moment. I stepped out into the light. Calm. Straight-backed. I walked past a tech fiddling with the boom mic, past the makeup girl holding a powder brush in the air like she'd forgotten how to move. I walked right up to the anchor desk. Lisa's expression morphed in real time: confusion, panic, guilt, something like fear. Jason took a step back, his hands up like he thought I might throw a punch. I didn't say a word. I laid the folder on the desk in front of Lisa. She looked down. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. "What is this?" she asked, her voice a whisper, even though we weren't live anymore. "You tell me," I said, keeping my voice low. "Even. Your signature goes right there. Bottom right. Just above the line that says, adultery and breach of trust." She blinked. Twice. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't deny it. Not even a pathetic attempt. "I can explain," she started. "No. You can't." I stepped back. "You made your move, Lisa. And now I'm making mine." She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She didn't beg. She stood there like a woman who had just realized the cameras might have caught her burning the house she lived in. And I turned my back. I walked out of that studio with my head high, knowing damn well what was coming next. The real show was just beginning. When I walked out of that studio, I didn't go home. I didn't get in the car. I didn't check my phone. I didn't call anyone. I just kept walking. The air outside hit different, crisp, electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. I could still feel the heat of the lights on my skin, the weight of what I'd just done settling in my chest like a brick. But it wasn't regret. It wasn't doubt. It was clarity. Because for the first time in over a year, I felt wide awake. The city around me moved in slow motion. Horns honked. A couple laughed on the corner. Somewhere, a food truck rattled to life. But all I could hear was the echo of my own voice. Asterisk, you made your move. Now I'm making mine. Asterisk. And I meant it. Every word. You see, this wasn't just about a kiss. This wasn't about Jason, either. This was about everything. The slow rot. The quiet disrespect. The way Lisa had shifted over the last year, not like a tide, but like a knife being slowly twisted. She had stopped being mine long before Jason's lips ever touched hers. I remember the exact night I first felt it. 4 months ago. We were having dinner at that little Italian place on 6th, her favorite. Candlelight. 2 glasses of red. I had just finished telling her about a project at work when I noticed she wasn't listening. Not just distracted. Gone. Her eyes were on the table, glass in her hand, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. When I asked her about it, she smiled. That fake kind of smile women give when they're hiding something and think they're clever about it. She changed the subject. Said she was just tired. That she loved me. That she was so lucky. I believed her. Like a damn fool. That night, she got in the shower while I sat on the bed staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed on the dresser. Once. Twice. I didn't touch it. But I watched the screen light up. The name, J. Just an initial. Clean. Careful. I asked her later, casually. Who's J? She blinked. Jules. My stylist. Right. Except Jules texted her 3 days later, and that one showed up in full name. So who the hell was Jay? That's when I started watching. I didn't snoop, asterisk get star. I just watched. And what I saw, it wasn't a woman falling out of love. It was a woman climbing up a ladder, using everyone around her as rungs. Including me. She began to come home later. Dressing better. Laughing louder when her phone lit up. She used to show me her outfits, ask for opinions. That stopped. Her gym bag became a permanent passenger in her trunk. She got oddly defensive about needing space, like I'd accused her of something when I'd only asked if she was home for dinner. And the worst part? She still acted like she loved me. Kissed me on the cheek. Sent little texts. Played the part of a perfect wife just enough to keep me second-guessing my gut. But I knew. Deep down, I knew. I just needed proof. So I played her game. I smiled. I waited. I bided my time while building my case, brick by brick. Her calendar. Her work events. Her expense receipts. The so-called networking weekends at that hotel upstate, which I later confirmed Jason had also coincidentally attended. I even ran into Jason once at a charity event. He shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and called me buddy. He was sleeping with my wife. And he called me buddy. That's when I started working on the nuclear option. My best friend, Nate, is a lawyer. Smart. Ruthless. Quiet as the grave. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. He got the papers ready in a week. Had them couriered to my office in a plain envelope. I kept them in my desk drawer like a loaded gun. And now they were out. Delivered. Real. I didn't go home because I knew Lisa wouldn't go straight home either. She'd stay at the studio, scrambling, trying to get ahead of it. Probably crying to HR about privacy and boundaries, while Jason tried to figure out how to spin the PR fallout. She'd be in panic mode, trying to put the mask back on. But the mask was off. And I wasn't done. I pulled out my phone and called Nate. She's been served, I said. He didn't ask questions. Do you want to pull the trigger on the rest? Yes. He was silent for a moment. Then, all right. I'll notify HR. And the station board. Your claim includes professional misconduct and moral breach. You'll get the house, the joint assets, and assuming she took the bonus during the affair, we can file for financial fraud. I didn't even blink. Do it, She used me to climb. Now I was pulling the ladder out from under her. Let her fall. Lisa didn't come home that night. Big surprise. I waited. Not because I wanted to see her, God no, but because I wanted to watch how she'd try to slither her way through it. I sat in the living room, lights off, scotch in hand, the silence in our oversized house pressing down on me like a lead blanket. Her scent still hung in the hallway, something floral and expensive, fake like everything else about her lately. I stared at the door for hours, not because I expected her to walk in, but because I needed to confirm something for myself. That she wouldn't. That she knew she couldn't. At midnight, I called the security system and changed every access code. At 1 a.m., I boxed up the last of her personal stuff from our bedroom and left it in the garage. At 2, I poured the last of the scotch and stood in the center of our kitchen, my kitchen now, wondering how the hell I missed it all for so long. This wasn't sudden. It was orchestrated. 2 years ago, we bought this house together. White brick, black shutters, polished floors, her dream home. I gave her everything. New car, art on the walls, a walk-in closet the size of a Manhattan studio. We were the picture-perfect couple. She'd host parties with that smug little tone of hers. Oh, Mark designed the kitchen himself. He's the organized one. As if she weren't the one that stuffed takeout containers behind the wine fridge for me to find 3 days later. But in public, we were solid. She needed us to look solid. Because no one climbs solo in this business. You need a story. The devoted husband. The suburban dream. Clean, shiny, sellable. That was me. The prop. And like an idiot, I smiled for the camera. Until she started slipping. The first real crack in her act came at Nate's birthday last fall. We were sitting around the fire pit in his backyard. Her, me, a dozen close friends. Everyone was sharing stories, laughing, tipsy. Lisa was on her 3rd glass of wine, legs draped over mine. She leaned in close and whispered something that didn't quite land right. I bet you miss being single sometimes. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But she didn't smile back. Just stared at me. That stare stuck with me for weeks. I brushed it off. Thought maybe she was drunk. Maybe she was tired. But then came the increasing late nights. The fake power lunches. The scent of cologne in our sheets that didn't belong to me. I confronted her once, subtle. I said, "You've been really busy lately. Everything okay?" And she snapped. "Why do you always have to make it about you, Mark?" Me? I was working 60-hour weeks to keep our life smooth while she was off playing anchor Barbie with a married man's mouth on hers. And somehow, I was the narcissist? That was the night I stopped asking. I started watching. And what I saw was worse than I imagined. She started weaponizing affection. One day she'd be cold, mechanical. The next she'd crawl into bed in lingerie I hadn't seen in 5 years, acting like nothing had changed. Those nights felt like traps. Like rehearsed scenes meant to confuse me. I'd wake up to find her gone already, at the gym, even though her shoes hadn't moved. And always, always that damn phone. Clutched in her hand. Screen turned away from me. Notifications silenced. It never left her sight. Never. You'd think it was a pacemaker. But I wasn't passive. Oh no. While she was busy living out her soap opera with Jason the executive dirtbag, I was building my own story. One that would bury her in the end. I took photos. I logged calls. I mirrored her calendar to my device when she left it unattended for 8 minutes. 8. That's all it took. She was careless when she was winning. And now? Now she was losing. By the next morning, the story had already spread. Some in turn leaked the studio footage online. Slowed down clips. Zoomed in stills. Headlines like, "Married anchor shares unexpected kiss with boss during live broadcast." Unexpected, my ass. By noon, it had hit the trending page. People online were speculating about everything. Her marriage, her professionalism, her ethics. She hadn't just embarrassed me. She humiliated herself. I didn't text her. I didn't answer her calls. 22 missed calls by dinner time. 8 voicemails. All of them the same flavor. "Mark, please. Just let me explain." Or, "You're blowing this out of proportion." And the one that really set my teeth on edge. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. Like there's a good way to screw your husband over on national television. Let me tell you something. People say revenge is a dish best served cold. I don't believe in cold dishes. I believe in slow roasting the truth until it smells so strong. Everyone within 50 miles gets a whiff of what's cooking. And I wasn't done cooking yet. Not even close. The first time she tried to come back into the house, it was just after sunset. I was standing in the kitchen with the garage camera feed on my phone when I saw her headlights sweep across the driveway. Same silver Lexus I leased for her 2 birthdays ago. She sat there for a moment, engine running, probably rehearsing, practicing that trembling voice, that perfect mix of vulnerability and righteous indignation. Lisa never walked into a scene unprepared. This would be her monologue. I let her stand at the front door for exactly 2 minutes before I buzzed the intercom. "You're not coming in." She jolted like she didn't expect it. "Mark, are you serious right now?" "Dead serious." "Check your email." I watched through the peephole as she pulled out her phone, scrolling with fingers that weren't quite steady. And then it hit. Her entire body language shifted. Shoulders slumped. Jaw tightened. She read the subject line. "Notice of temporary occupancy revocation. Filed that morning." Nate made sure the paperwork was airtight. Her voice sharpened. "You're actually locking me out of my own house?" "No, I'm locking you out of my house. You just lived here. Like a raccoon that stole jewelry and left claw marks. You can't do this." I didn't reply. She started pounding on the door. "Open the door, Mark. This is insane. We need to talk." That last part almost made me laugh. Now she wanted to talk? After weeks of dodging questions, rewriting history, gaslighting me with those wide, doe eyes and sweet little lies? Nah. That conversation window closed the moment her lip gloss hit Jason's smug face on live broadcast. She eventually stopped knocking. I watched her storm back to her car, yank the door open, and sit there, probably crying, or calling Jason, or both. I didn't care. I went back to my drink. By morning, it was everywhere. I mean everywhere. The clip had it late-night talk shows, edited into montages with laugh tracks. When your work wife turns into your real wife, on air. Jason was trending. Lisa was getting lit up in the comments. People dug through her past segments, pulling quotes and jokes that suddenly sounded very different under the light of her affair. One tweet had over 500,000 likes. Lisa Harper said transparency is everything in relationships while she was getting railed in a Marriott suite. I didn't even have to lift a finger. The internet was doing it for me. By lunchtime, her agent had dropped her. By dinner, 2 sponsors had pulled ads from the station. And in the middle of all of it, my phone buzzed with a message that made me pause. It was from her sister, Emily. "Hey, I don't know what the hell is going on, but Lisa's at Mom's place falling apart. I think you guys need to talk." Falling apart? Funny how that only happened after her little house of lies collapsed on national TV. Still, I stared at that message longer than I wanted to admit. Emily and I had always been cool. She was the one person in Lisa's family I actually respected. No drama. No manipulation. Just brutally honest from day one. I thought about replying. Then I remembered what Lisa said 6 months ago during an argument, the one I'd buried until now. "I know how to survive without you, Mark. You need me." She was wrong. So I typed a single line. "She can cry to the mirror. That's the only person she's ever been loyal to." Send. Then I opened the shared cloud drive we hadn't used since the pandemic and deleted her access. All the vacation photos. Family events. Our wedding video. The folder labeled future plans that had our dream home sketches, baby name ideas, her Pinterest boards for the nursery. Gone. Not because I was trying to erase the past, but because I was done pretending there was a future. Later that night, I sat down at my desk with a thick binder labeled Assets. Nate had compiled everything. Her bonus transfer logs, her calendar inconsistencies, messages from Jason that we legally obtained from a synced work device she didn't know was still connected to our shared home Wi-Fi. There was a photo in there grainy, from a parking lot camera, but it was them. Arms locked. Her laughing up at him like she'd never laughed at me, not even on our honeymoon. I stared at it for a long time, and I smiled, because it wasn't rage anymore. It wasn't even pain. It was freedom. I closed the binder, opened a blank notepad, and started writing down my next moves, one by one, starting with her reputation. The next 48 hours were like watching a domino chain you spin at your building finally collapse, one clean, satisfying click at a time. First, Lisa's publicist released a statement. Short, robotic, dry as toast. Ms. Harper deeply regrets the misinterpretation of an off-camera moment during a live broadcast. She values her professional reputation and is cooperating with all station inquiries. Misinterpretation? Huh? Cute. Apparently, swapping spit with your boss while wearing a wedding ring you swore meant something is just a quirky misunderstanding now. What was the next excuse? Stage lighting made her trip and fall mouth first onto his? The statement backfired immediately. The network's Facebook page turned into a war zone. Sponsors pulled another round of ads. Anonymous employees started leaking screenshots of messages, complaints, rumors. Her whole image, the polished, go-getter, morning sunshine persona, started to disintegrate like wet paper. But I wasn't just sitting around watching headlines. I was working. Nate had set up a meeting with the station's HR and ethics board. I walked in with a smile and a folder labeled Lisa Harper, Conflict Timeline. Inside were hard copies of her affairs paper trail, cross-referenced against work trips, station funds, and yes, the bonus she never declared on her joint tax documents. They didn't even pretend to be shocked. Just uncomfortable. HR asked if I wanted to press formal charges. No, I said. Not yet. Just ensuring full transparency. Like Lisa always says. They nodded. I walked out. By that evening, I was on a call with our accountant, getting the jump on freezing joint accounts. Lisa tried moving money that afternoon, $9, for 100 wired to a private checking account she thought I didn't know about. Nate flagged it in time. Froze the wire mid-transfer. She texted me 4 times within the hour. Why are you doing this? We were supposed to be a team, Mark. This doesn't have to be a war. You don't have to punish me like this. I didn't respond. I wanted her to stew in silence. Because that's what always unnerved Lisa the most. Silence. She thrived in chaos, knew how to spin lies in motion. But when everything stopped moving and she was left alone with the truth, she cracked. Sure enough, just after midnight, I got the call. She didn't block her number this time. I let it ring 5 times, then answered. Said nothing. She sighed like she'd been holding her breath for 2 days. Mark, please, can we just talk? Still, I stayed silent. I messed up. I know that. I shouldn't have let things get so far with Jason. It was, God, it was stupid. But it wasn't serious. It never meant anything. I closed my eyes. That line, it didn't mean anything. Every cheating partner's go-to magic spell. Like if they say it enough times, it'll somehow erase the betrayal. It didn't mean anything, she repeated, more desperate now. You mean something. We have a life, a history, a home. You and me, we're real. I just got lost, that's all. Please, Mark, don't burn it all down. My voice came out like steel. You lit the match. I'm just watching the fire. Silence. Then, you don't have to be cruel. And you didn't have to lie, I snapped. But here we are. I was confused. No, Lisa, you were calculated. There's a difference. Another silence. Then, something I didn't expect. Her voice hardened. Cold. Sharp. You think you're some kind of martyr now? Acting like I used you? You wouldn't be where you were without me. You think Nate gives a damn about your little folder? You think you're winning. I didn't yell. I didn't even flinch. I just said, I already won. You just haven't figured it out yet. Then I hung up. No threats. No insults. Just that one truth. Because what Lisa didn't understand, what she never understood, was that the moment she used me to prop up her ambition and then discarded me like a stagehand after curtain call, she handed me the script. She gave me the pen. And now I was rewriting the ending. The next morning, I had a meeting with my realtor. The house was being appraised. Lisa would find out soon enough. When she realized the utilities were shut off in her name and her car lease was reassigned under my business's umbrella, she was unraveling. She made her big move on a stage with cameras and cheers. But me? I make mine in silence. In paperwork. In cold, dry signatures that whisper, you're done. 3 days after the broadcast, she showed up at my office. No appointment. No warning. Just walked past the front desk like she still had the right to be anywhere I existed. My assistant, Jules, tried to stop her, God bless her, but Lisa smiled that sweet, poisonous smile she always used when she wanted something. He'll want to see me, she said. She was wrong. I was sitting in my glass-walled office, running numbers with a team of investors, mid-discussion about a 6-figure merger clause, when the door opened and there she was. In heels, beige coat belted tight, sunglasses still on, like this was some kind of celebrity redemption arc. Like this was her narrative now. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. Then back at the contract in front of me. "Gentlemen," I said to the board, "give me 5 minutes." They stood and left. Awkward. Glancing. One of them nodded at Lisa on the way out like she was a damn sideshow. She waited until the door clicked shut behind them before pulling off her glasses. Her eyes were red. Makeup cracked around the corners. But she still held her posture like a damn pageant queen. "Are you seriously doing this, Mark?" she said. I didn't look up. "You mean work?" "Yeah, I'm running a company. Something I was doing while you were banging your producer behind a teleprompter." She flinched. For half a second, just a flicker of shame. But then she recovered. Lisa always recovered fast, like it was muscle memory. "I didn't come here to fight." "Then why are you here?" She stepped forward, hands gripping the back of the chair across from me. "To fix this. To stop this from spiraling any worse than it already has. You're about 4 months late for that. Mark, come on. This doesn't have to be war. You made it war when you picked him." "I didn't pick anyone. I made a mistake." "You made a decision. And now you want to frame it as a mistake because the fallout's finally hitting you." She dropped into the chair, her whole facade cracking in real time. "Do you know what it's been like for me the past 72 hours? People are following me to my car. I lost 2 brand deals. My mother won't even take my calls. I have journalists digging through my high school yearbook, Mark." I tilted my head. "Good. Maybe they'll find the warning signs I missed." Her voice dropped. "You're enjoying this." I leaned back in my chair, calm as stone. "No, Lisa, I'm not enjoying it. I'm done with it. That's the difference." She tried a new angle, sadder, softer. "We were supposed to grow old together." I stared at her. Not with anger. Not with hate. With clarity. "No, I was supposed to grow old with you. But you chose your ego over everything we built." She opened her mouth, but there were no words this time. So I stood up, walked to the window behind me, watching traffic drift through the city like ants on glass. "She used to love this view. I gave you everything," I said, not looking at her. "Time. Money. Faith. You were my legacy, Lisa. My future. I didn't ask for all of that. You took it," I snapped, turning to face her. "You took all of it. And you let me believe we were building something real while you rehearsed your exit like it was a scene in your show." Her shoulders slumped. For the first time, she looked small. Not sad. Not tragic. Just small. "You don't have to ruin me," she said quietly. "Please. I'll walk away. I won't fight you on the house. I'll sign whatever you want. Just don't destroy what I have left." "You destroyed it yourself," I said, walking past her to the door. I opened it. "This is over, Lisa." She didn't move. Just sat there, eyes fixed on the carpet. I waited. And finally, she stood. At the door, she turned to me and said the one thing I knew she would try before the end. "I still love you, you know." I nodded once. I believed that. Then I shut the door behind her and never looked back. Not even once. The email came that evening. From her lawyer. Polished, sterile, corporate speak soaked in desperation. Subject line: proposed revisions to divorce terms. Urgent. I clicked it open with the same level of emotion I'd feel opening a monthly bank statement. The PDF attachment was 3 pages, half of which was Lisa begging, through legal jargon, to keep the Lexus and retain partial access to the guest beach house in Montauk. The same beach house I renovated by hand the summer she needed space and flew to Palm Springs with the girls, a trip I now know included Jason on night 3. There were charges on the corporate card to prove it. A couple's massage booked under the name Harper. Yeah, she was bold like that. The doc was a joke. A last-ditch fantasy pinned by someone who still thought she could charm her way out of consequence. Her lawyer even tried to include a clause about mutual non-disparagement in public and professional settings, clearly aimed at my supposed silence while her career went up in smoke. That ship had sailed the minute she opened her mouth under live broadcast lighting and moaned through a segment introduction like Jason was feeding her lines between the sheets. I forwarded it to Nate with one sentence. "Return it marked up and bleeding." He responded 15 minutes later. "Already did. Enjoy." The next morning, the marked up version hit her desk. Every clause she tried to wiggle in denied. Every plea for dignity redlined. And the best part? Her bonus? The network already froze it under investigation. Turns out workplace affairs with supervisory staff do violate the code of conduct. Who would have thought? I didn't stop there. Later that day, I met with Rachel Myers, our interior designer. Technically, she had been Lisa's find, but I was the one who paid her invoices. Rachel had impeccable taste and no patience for liars. I showed her a few images from Lisa's Pinterest boards, the one she had started for her dream rebrand as a solo media consultant. Bold whites, sharp navy tones, Scandinavian minimalism. Very crisp. Very fake. Rachel sipped her espresso and said, "You want me to turn the house into something she wouldn't recognize?" I nodded. I want her to feel like she never lived there. Like she imagined it. 2 days later, painters arrived. The floral wallpaper she picked for the master suite gone. Replaced with smoked slate. Her clawfoot tub? Out. Converted to a walk-in rain shower framed in black steel. Her cozy reading nook she never used but insisted on designing for guests? Demolished. Turned into a coffee bar. By the time she realized what was happening, it was done. And she couldn't step foot inside to object. She sent a message through her lawyer. Is Mr. Harper intentionally erasing Ms. Harper's personal contributions to the home? Nate replied. Mr. Harper is making renovations to his legally retained property. Ms. Harper is free to schedule a 30-minute pickup window for her belongings, which have been boxed and placed in the garage since April 6th. I watched her come for them myself. Through the ring cam. She didn't come alone. She brought Emily, her sister. The only person in her family who ever looked me in the eye and told the truth. Emily looked around the garage, quiet. Then she found the box labeled Lisa, office drawer, cards plus photos. She paused, opened it, saw the old Polaroid from our anniversary in Rome. I'd taken it at the Trevi Fountain while Lisa made that exaggerated surprised face she always did when pretending to be caught off guard. She held it up. Lisa just turned away. Didn't even take the box. Just left it there. Let Emily close the trunk. Didn't say a word. The garage door slowly shut behind her like a curtain falling on a failed audition. And just like that, she was gone. No more stage smiles. No more empty kisses. No more excuses dressed up as apologies. For the first time in months, the house was quiet, and not in that eerie, tension-heavy kind of way. It was peaceful. Clean. Mine. I poured a glass of scotch, walked out to the balcony, and watched the city lights stretch into the horizon. She had tried to turn my life into her backdrop. Now she was just a ghost in the wings. And I was the only one still standing on stage. She went nuclear the next morning. I woke up to a ping storm on my phone. Missed calls, unread messages, a dozen group chats lighting up like a Christmas tree. Even Nate sent me a one-liner at 6:14 a.m. She broke the silence clause you hadn't even signed yet. Check Twitter. So I did. And there she was, Lisa Harper, live streaming from the passenger seat of a parked SUV, mascara running like war paint, voice cracking just enough to sound human. Hi everyone. I know a lot of you have questions. I've made mistakes, but I want to speak from the heart. The camera was angled high to make her look smaller. Vulnerable. Manipulated. The opening shot of a woman rebranding betrayal into victimhood. Her nails were painted bone white, shaking subtly on the steering wheel, wedding ring long gone, replaced with a gold bracelet I bought her on our 5th anniversary. That one detail sent a jolt of electricity down my spine. She knew what she was doing. She always knows. I've been going through something deeply personal, she sniffled. And I won't go into details out of respect for someone I loved. Still love, if I'm honest. Cue the trembling breath. But when someone you trust uses your pain to punish you publicly, weaponizes your lowest moment to build a revenge story, you realize maybe they never really loved you back. I laughed. Loudly. Because there it was. The pivot. The illusion. Turn the betrayal into a reaction. Make it about how I'm handling it, not what she did. She leaned closer to the camera, dropping her voice like a confessional. I didn't plan to hurt anyone. I was overwhelmed. Is that an excuse? No. But have I paid for it? God, yes. I've lost everything, my job, my home, my future. She paused, dramatically. But I won't lose my voice. Hundreds of comments poured in. Most of them angry. Some confused. A few delusional fans calling her brave. But enough gullible sympathy floated through the feed that I knew exactly what this was. Damage control. Lisa wasn't trying to fix anything. She was trying to flip the script. 5 minutes after the stream ended, she followed it with a press release to every outlet that had reported on the kiss. In it, she used words like emotional coercion, power imbalance, and my personal favorite, weaponized domestic hierarchy. I didn't even know what that meant, but I knew what it was. She was baiting me, hoping I'd lash out, throw punches in public, validate her new angle. Scorned wife reclaims her narrative after cold, controlling husband shuts her out. Except she underestimated me. Again, I didn't respond. Not a post, not a quote, not even a whisper. Instead, I sent one email to the network. Subject, breach of morality clause, documentation attached. In it, I included everything Lisa had overlooked in her desperation. Internal station memos confirming her relationship with Jason, timestamps of hotel stays, overlapping work obligations, flagged expense reports. All things the network could no longer ignore now that she'd made it a public relations issue. 10 hours later, she was suspended indefinitely. 24 hours after that, Jason resigned. Not fired, resigned. Because cowards like him always try to leave before they're pushed. And me? I was having lunch on a rooftop with an investor when it all hit the wires. The waitress, mid-pour of my coffee, looked at my phone screen and said, "Hey, isn't that your wife?" I smiled. X. She grinned like she understood. Then I tipped her $100 and went back to my sandwich. By the end of the day, Lisa had lost more than her job. The PR firm she'd hired to clean up her mess dropped her. Her real estate license, which she'd quietly renewed during our marriage to have options, was put under ethics review. Her blue check verification disappeared. The likes on her last 3 posts dropped by half. And the calls? They stopped coming. Because in the end, no one wants to be tied to a sinking ship, especially one that tried to set fire to its lifeboats on air. She thought she was writing a redemption arc. She didn't realize she was still in my story, and I had already written the ending. She tried one more trick. I should have seen it coming. Lisa never knew how to lose without one last stunt, one final card pulled from the bottom of the deck, usually covered in glitter and soaked in desperation. This time, she used the one thing she'd always avoided dragging into our war. Her father, Walter Harper, retired investment banker, old money, Upper West Side royalty. The kind of man who called waiters chief and thought therapy was for weak men with soft hands. He never liked me. I was too middle class, too self-made, too unwilling to kiss his ring at Christmas dinners. To him, Lisa was supposed to marry some Ivy League heir who golfed on Tuesdays and wore cufflinks engraved with his initials. Not a guy who built a company from scratch and had sawdust under his nails. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. So when he showed up at my office without an appointment, I knew exactly who had sent him. He walked in like he still owned skyscrapers. Expensive coat, cane he didn't need, cologne thick enough to choke a small animal. My receptionist tried to stop him, but he waved her off with a dismissive grunt and walked right into my office like it was his weekend house. "Mark," he said, voice as polished as ever. "I think it's time we had a conversation." I didn't stand up, didn't shake his hand, just stared at him until he closed the door behind him. "Let me guess," I said. "Lisa's sad. Lisa's misunderstood. Lisa's a delicate flower caught in a man's game, and I'm the big bad wolf." He smiled like I was a child misbehaving at dinner. "You've made your point. Very publicly, I might add. And now it's time to stop. Lisa's made mistakes. No one's denying that. But what she's facing now, it's excessive. You're dismantling her entire life." "Good." He blinked. I leaned forward. She torched mine. "I'm just using the ashes." Walter sighed and slowly lowered himself into the chair opposite me. "Mark, you have to understand, image matters. Not just for Lisa, but for all of us. She comes from a legacy. This scandal, it's embarrassing our entire family." I laughed. Actually laughed. "And now we finally get to the truth. This isn't about Lisa. This is about you." He shifted. Uncomfortable. Not used to being called out. "You want me to roll over, smile for the cameras, pretend your daughter didn't blow up our marriage on national television? Also, your country club buddies don't have to whisper about it over brandy?" "I want peace," he said tightly. "No," I corrected him. "You want control." Silence. Then his voice dropped, sharp and cold. If you keep pushing this, I will make it very unpleasant for you, Mark. I still have friends in media, lawyers, financial institutions. Do you really think this is a battle you can win? I stood, walked to the window, took a breath. Then I turned back, looked him dead in the eyes, and said, I've already won, Walter. She just hasn't hit bottom yet. But she will. And when she does, it won't be because of me. It'll be because she spent too long thinking consequences were optional. He stood, face stone. You'll regret this. No. She will. I opened the door. He walked out without another word. 2 hours later, I got a call from Nate. You're not gonna believe this, he said. Walter tried freezing one of your business accounts through a mutual contact at Crestfield Bank. My laugh echoed through the entire office. Nate continued. Didn't work. I'd already moved the funds yesterday. But nice try, right? He's getting sloppy, I said. That means we're close. And we were. Because I had one final move left. One I'd been holding from the start. Something even Lisa didn't know I had. Something I'd waited until now to use. And once it dropped, everything would collapse. Her image. Her safety net. Her secret. The last lie she thought she buried. Buried, but not forgotten. I had the shovel in my hand. And I was ready to dig. She thought I didn't know. Thought she'd buried it deep enough, far enough, that no one would ever connect the dots. But Lisa never understood something simple. When you're planning your escape, you leave tracks. Even the smartest liar forgets to clean their shoes when they're in a rush. The first clue came months ago, long before the kiss, before the unraveling. Just a line in a phone bill. A call to a clinic in Connecticut. 38 minutes. At first, I assumed it was one of her wellness appointments, some new-age hormone balancing thing she was into. I didn't think much of it, until I saw the second charge from the same clinic 2 weeks later. Different department. Private visit. No insurance submitted. I filed it in the back of my mind, alongside the unaccounted spa trips, the overlapping hotel bookings, the Uber charges from addresses she'd never mentioned. I wasn't sure what I was seeing yet, but it didn't feel random. Last week, I had a contact in the billing department pull the file. I expected flirtations, maybe early signs of the affair. What I found was so much worse. Under Lisa's alias, yes, she used an alias, S. L. Martin, was a signed consent form and discharge summary. Procedure, selective pregnancy termination. 8 weeks along. Date, 10 months ago. Right in the middle of our IVF prep. I stared at that form like it was written in a foreign language. My hands went cold. We'd been trying for a year. Lisa told me she was stressed, that her cycle was off. We'd been doing tests, charting schedules. I remember bringing her hot towels, watching movies with her when she cried over yet another failed attempt. And all along, she was already pregnant. She just never told me. Because it wasn't mine. My stomach turned. My jaw locked. It all connected now. The sudden delay in IVF. The weekend trip she took to clear her head. The way she clung to me afterward, clingy, grateful, oddly kind. Because she was erasing evidence. Not grieving. Erasing. She got pregnant. She ended it. And she buried it under a fake name, a clinic across state lines, and a smile I thought I could trust. That's why she panicked when I filed for divorce. Not because of the affair. Not because of the house, the money, the job. Because I was getting too close. Because somewhere deep inside, she knew I'd find this. And now I had. It took me less than an hour to package the documents. I didn't need to threaten her with them. I didn't even plan to make them public. I just sent them to her lawyer. No explanation. Just the file. 1 hour later, Lisa texted me. Please, don't do this. I'll agree to everything. Just don't let them see it. Too late. She built a life out of edits. Out of filters. Out of illusions. Now all that's left is reality. And it's brutal. She didn't show up to the next hearing. Her lawyer came alone, sweating, stammering, asking for a continuance. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman who'd clearly read everything in the case file, looked over her glasses and asked, Is your client ill? The lawyer hesitated. Then, No, Your Honor. She's under duress. The courtroom let that hang in the air. I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Just watched him fold like wet paper under pressure. Duress? Lisa engineered this fallout. She handed me the wreckage wrapped in satin ribbon and expected me to smile while it burned. Outside the courtroom, Nate caught up with the lawyer before he ducked into the elevator. "What's really going on?" Nate asked. The man sighed. "She's shutting down. She knows it's over. She's not sleeping, not eating. She called me at 3 a.m. crying about how she's being followed by cameras, how she can't walk into a grocery store without someone whispering." Nate raised an eyebrow. "That's not duress. That's reputation." The elevator doors closed. Back in the office, I opened the latest update from my PR contact. The media outlets were turning. The tide had shifted, finally. All that faux outrage from Lisa's live stream was evaporating. People were digging deeper, asking questions she didn't want to answer. A former intern from the station anonymously confirmed Jason and Lisa had been inappropriate months before the kiss. Photos started circulating, grainy but clear. Her leaving his condo at 2 a.m. with no wedding ring, wearing his hoodie. The public wasn't stupid. The narrative she tried to sell them was cracking like glass underfoot. That same afternoon, the network quietly updated their anchor roster. Lisa Harper's name was gone, replaced with a younger, newer co-host. No press release. No farewell. Just gone. Like she was never part of it. I didn't gloat. I didn't drink. I sat in my chair, staring out the window, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Quiet. Not relief. Not victory. Just stillness. Then my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, the message came through. I played it on speaker, already expecting the same weepy script. But what I heard was something else entirely. Something raw. Quiet. Real. "Mark. It's me. I know you probably don't care, and you probably won't even listen to this whole thing. But I wanted to say, I'm sorry." Pause. "I don't mean like, I'm sorry I got caught. I mean I'm sorry I let it get this far. I thought I could manage it all. The pressure. The attention. The expectations. I thought I could lie to you and it wouldn't break everything. But it did." Another pause. A shaky breath. "And I'm scared. Not of losing the career or the house. I'm scared of what it says about me. That I could hurt someone who loved me that much. That I could just erase you like that. I don't know who I am anymore." Click. That was it. No begging. No twisting. Just confession. For a split second, I felt something ache in my chest. Not sympathy, God no. Just the distant echo of what it used to be. A flicker of memory. But the flame was gone. Lisa was finally starting to realize what I'd known since the day I slid those papers across the desk. This wasn't about punishment. It was about truth. And truth, once exposed, never fades. She showed up at the house. No appointment. No lawyer. No script. Just Lisa, standing on the front step, drenched in cold November rain. No makeup, hair pulled back, wearing the same gray hoodie she used to steal from my side of the closet. No camera crews. No mask. Just her. I watched her from the hallway, hidden behind the cracked door frame. She didn't knock right away. Just stood there, clutching a paper bag like it held her spine together. And when she finally raised her hand, the knock wasn't her usual sharp, practiced rhythm. It was soft, almost embarrassed. I opened the door. We didn't speak for a second. Rain fell between us, steady and cold. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just reduced. Like the weight of everything had finally pushed her down to eye level with her decisions. "I made you dinner," she said quietly, holding the bag out like a peace treaty. "I remembered you used to like that stupid lemon chicken thing I made when we first moved in." I didn't take the bag. "You're 5 months late," I said. She nodded once, not offended. "I know." We stood like that, two ghosts in the ruin of a home that used to be filled with plans, trips, fireplaces, cracked jokes over burnt pasta. And now, nothing but echoes. "You shouldn't be here," I said. "I know," she repeated. "But I didn't come to fight or fix anything. I'm not stupid anymore." "No," I said. "You're just finally honest." She looked down at the bag, then back up. Her eyes were puffy, no tears left. "I just wanted to say goodbye before the house sells. I saw the listing. You staged it beautifully. Rachel did it." She gave the faintest laugh. "Of course she did." I stepped outside, pulling the door shut behind me. We stood under the awning, close enough to hear each other breathe, but not enough to touch. "You broke something," I said after a long silence. "Not just trust. You broke me." And you did it without blinking. She swallowed. I blinked. Just never when you were looking. That's worse. I know. Another silence. The rain got heavier. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said. I don't even forgive myself. I needed you to know. You were never the problem. I turned toward her. Then why do you treat me like one? She opened her mouth. Closed it. No answer. Just rain. We stood like that until my breath fogged the air between us and her hands started shaking. I'm moving to Chicago, she finally said. Mayan has a place. I'm going back to school. Something private. Offline. Quiet. I nodded. She looked at me one more time, eyes full of everything she never said when it mattered, and asked, Do you hate me? I answered without hesitation. No, I don't waste hate on ruins. She nodded like she'd been waiting to hear that exact line, then turned and walked down the steps. Slowly, carefully, like she was leaving a grave site. She never looked back. The next morning, the house sold. Full cash offer. Clean papers. And me? I packed a single duffel bag, locked the front door for the last time, and left the key on the counter. The hallway echoed as I walked out, like the place was breathing one final sigh. Outside, the sky was clear for the first time in weeks. I didn't smile, didn't cry, just got in the car, rolled the window down, and drove. Not away, forward.